Mondays through Fridays, 3:30 to 4:30 p.m. in the newsroom. You can't afford to miss it.
Good afternoon and welcome to yet another edition of this program in the newsroom. My name is Abiodun Olalere. Reports indicate that the incoming President Bola Tinubu will merge some ministries and agencies of the federal government as recommended by Osbc panel. You will recall that the panel was set up in 2011 by the administration of the report, which was in public domain, recommended the reform of the civil service and removal of the controversial fuel subsidy, job cuts, introduction of higher taxes, privatization of public corporations, among others. So that will be our first bite on today's edition of this program. And the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo, has said that the Muhammadu Buhari administration has revitalized Nigerian armed forces in the last 4 years. He mentioned that many aircraft, war-fighting aircraft, had been purchased by the federal government to sustain the fight against terrorism. And it is no more news that Nigeria's former Deputy Senate President, Ike Ekerimadu, his wife Beatrice, and their medical doctor have been sentenced to various jail terms in the United Kingdom for conspiring to harvest a man's kidney. It is being reported that this set of people are the first convicts under the Modern Slavery Act of an organ harvesting conspiracy. So these are the issues we are taking a look at on today's edition of this program. You are welcome once again, and the team is set as usual. Let me welcome Muritala Agbola to this one. You are welcome.
Thank you for having me. Good afternoon, Nigerians, wherever you may be.
Kajadi is also in the newsroom, as expected on a day as this.
It's our day. Thank you, Biodu. Good afternoon, viewers.
You're also welcome. You came late a little bit. We can understand. Okay. Good to see you.
Well, viewers, good afternoon and best regards.
Yes, Mr. Brown. Now we go straight to business. Let me start with Ruta Lagola.
Yeah.
What do you think will have been the reason why this report has been kept somewhere for so long? The administration of Muhammadu Buhari has set up 2 committees to review, aside the white paper that was also published in respect of that panel by Jonathan administration. Why do you think that report had been kept so long without this outgoing and the former administration not doing anything on it?
The answer is very simple. It's one word: lack of political will. Now, I don't envy Asiwaju at all, because it's coming at a time when the economy is in dire straits. And whether he likes it or not, he has to take certain critical and fundamental decisions. And certainly some people will be affected. But he must take those critical decisions. Orosaye's panel was turning in 2012. Jonathan did not touch it. Neither did Buhari. Buhari set up 2 committees, like you rightly pointed out, but he didn't have the political will to take it. But today, where we find ourselves, we have no option than to take that decision. That is merging departments, agencies, and some ministries. That's not even all. The fuel subsidy too. You know, he said it. He had the courage to say it. That's actually during the campaigns, that subsidy has to go and that it will go. But on Orasaye, you see, there are plethora of ministries, departments, and agencies. 2 or 3 agencies doing basically the same thing. So we need to collapse them if you want to reduce governance. If you want to cut down cost of governance. Now, but it will not end there, because the civil servants that will be affected will also fight back. So it will now go to the political office holders too. We have to do something about their emolument. But the good thing will be that if such critical decision is taken, the government must plan well so that they will not be totally...
Maybe we'll still come to that.
Okay.
Sake, he said a while ago that Asiwaju has to take critical decision, the incoming president. Yes, to some it may be unpleasant decision in the short run. But if we look at the general well-being of the nation, but do you see Bola Ahmed Tinubu having the political will which has been established that Jonathan and Buhari lack? Do you see him having the political will to implement this report?
Well, thank you, Bjorn. Well, if he wants to succeed, he has to. You see, the pill may be bitter for some people to swallow, but that appears to be the way out for him. And if he also wants to toe the path of his predecessor, particularly Buhari, he will end up like Buhari, you know. And Nigerians are on the edge now. You have no choice. I'll just tolerate him. He has come. He has been elected. Will be inaugurated on May 29. But for him to change the narrative, some of the narratives about him, he has to take some critical steps. This Oresanya report, yes, it was. The committee was set up by Jonathan. The report was submitted during his reign. He did not do anything about it, because the implementation of the report will have far-reaching effect on individuals and some agencies
and some interest,
and some interest along the line. You see, the report is so comprehensive. He said, so humongous, and it's not only that report that Buhari neglected. He also neglected the 2014 confab report, which also should have changed certain things in this country. He did not do that because of whatever reasons he will give us later. I want to believe, but Tinubu has to take certain drastic decisions.
And you see this as one of the decisions in most.
It is one of the decisions. You see, there's no doubt a government should be, in every country, government is the largest employer of labor. There's no doubt about it. Apart from creating an enabling environment for the private sector to also compete favorably, government will forever remain the largest employer of labor. But that should be done discreetly. Nigeria has not done that. You know, you continue to duplicate agencies. Look at when you were growing up, it's only the police force that we knew. The police handled everything, including traffic, including what do you call it, intelligence. This what you have EFCC now, including FRSC functions, including ICPC point. It was the police, but along the line we have decimated that force, and we have created a number of agencies that are competing. The police can, as of today, it can perform all the functions. It can decide to perform all the functions of FRSC, EFCC, ICPC,
the civil defense.
Civil defense. So that is the problem. But I think Tinubu has to develop that kind of courage to do the right thing.
Okay, Brown.
Yeah.
Thank God you work with the federal government.
Yeah.
And I know that as a journalist, you are aware of many of these duplicated agencies.
Yeah.
Ordinarily perform almost the same. So I can mention some of them like the security service. I want you to give us a brief insight into some of these agencies that have this dual responsibility. And from your experience, the ones you will give us, do you see the duplication as necessary or not?
Duplication, you may call it. But then we have to consider the essence of division of labor. Efficiency and productivity. If you don't consider these three, and you just think of duplication and so on.
I know you have a better insight, that's why.
Because you are talking of road safety. It will not be easy for the police to combine the role of the road safety. Their role is, a far cry from what the police do. Why? The road safety have a culture.
Okay, let's look at the Federal Radio Corporation of Nigeria. Let's also look at the Federal Ministry of Information. Let's also look at Voice of Nigeria. Let's look at all this news agency of Nigeria. So let's look at all these. Are those responsibility not? Can't we have
a single agency,
a single chief executive with directors, departments to handle all this?
Good. That is different from saying maybe they should be made that way. It means you are going to have a central body with others as agencies still or departments under them.
Okay.
You see, the problem is not just duplication. The problem is bloated civil service with non-existing staff collecting salaries. Go to the school system. You have non-existing schools on the government payroll. You have non-existing staff collecting salaries every month.
Our TSC has not identified that.
They did the screening, but then the report was not allowed to come out. Why? The Nigerian factor. A man cried out last week on a radio program that he was posted to a local government as head. Then he found that some offices were empty. So when he asked, they said, "Oga, some of these people come once in a week, particularly when the month is ending. For what? To collect salary." Unfortunately for one woman, she came all the way from Sokoto. "Madam, what have you been doing?" He said, "Oga, I'm not staying here." "Where do you stay?" He said, "I live in Sokoto." "Doing what?" "Trading." "So what have you come here for?" He said, "To collect my salary." You can see the audacity. Lending credence to the issue of impunity that has eaten deep into the system. What came out of it? Nothing. There has been screening and screening and screening. But when the report is about to come out, the powers that be will go and stop it. That has been our
As at that time, as at 2011 when that report was submitted, you and I will agree that other agencies or parastatals or commissions, whatever, must have been added to those ones then.
Oh yes.
Because I recall one day I was watching public hearing by one of the National Assembly, maybe the Rep or Senate. I was surprised with some commissions that even all the lawmakers admitted that they have not heard about that commission before.
Yes. Even now, as we are talking now, the Nigeria Peace Council or Commission has either gone under the second reading or is a stage.
It has been passed by the...
Very good. It has been passed.
The Peace Corps.
You see, Jonathan did not have that political will. And politicians, Buhari too, we thought was strong enough. The only thing he did, which will give a plus to him, was that the TSA didn't start with him. The BVN too didn't start with him. But he had courage to implement it. So maybe this one too, that was started by Jonathan, can still be done by Aswadu. But see, we need to do it. And thank God, with technology, by now there should be nobody that should be taking salary by hand. So if there is a BVN...
I'm not sure there's anybody collecting salary by hand.
No, they may not be. But the case he referred to now...
Local government.
There are some areas that people are still collecting salary. Because if it were to be posted into his or her account, the woman may not even need to show.
Will show up. Okay.
It won't show. Do you understand what I'm saying? And it is a general thing. So let us start from, if the government have the courage to do that, then later we even go to the emolument they themselves are taking. Why do you have to have PA to the PA to the PA and things like that? So Nigeria is an interesting country.
There's one aspect of the panel which I'm sure will be controversial. The panel also recommended privatization of public corporations and the sale of some government assets.
Yeah.
And you know, you are aware of the perception of some Nigerians about politicians generally and the person of Ashwadola Ahmed Tinubu. I'm not saying it is right or wrong, but let's not, we must not also value this perception. How do you see him running through this privatization of public corporations and the sale of government, bearing in mind the controversy that the one did by Obasanjo administration generated with Atiku Abubakar? I think it's still one of the issues, the areas where it's being criticized up to today.
Well, you see, if this what they are suggesting, we have seen cases where government is starting having privatized and it did well. But if there is lack of integrity and transparency, like what we are now having experience about PHCN, you know, it has metamorphosed into so many. I think it has ECN at the point. We have NEPA at the time. We have PHCN. Then we have all this IBEC or whatever after the privatization. Really, the sincerity of it is what is in question. We are told that when PHCN was privatized, it was given to their cronies, those who don't have this knowledge of how to operate electricity system. And that is the problem we are facing now.
The federal government also took World Bank loan to
assist them. To assist them. So it is the transparency of the negotiation during privatization that matters. And well, we are seeing Tinubu now. People say he's a capitalist, and if he's a capitalist, that's one area where he should perform better. Nigeria should benefit from that. Yes, benefit from.
It should be at the advantage of Nigeria.
Yes, and certainly some agencies should be privatized. Some agencies, but many people may not want to hear that because of the experiences we have been having with government agencies that have gone private.
Adrian Brown, I want to quote a paragraph from the report. 541 federal government parastatals, commissions and agencies, statutory and non-statutory, were identified, 541. And recommended that 263 of the statutory agencies should be reduced to 161. While 38 agencies should be abolished and 52 should be merged. 14 agencies should revert to department and ministries. You talk about salaries, workers. You are once one of them.
Yeah.
How do you think this can be managed?
You see, the fact that this report must be implemented is an indisputable fact. It must. But then, even though we know nobody eats an egg, eats an omelette without breaking an egg, this report is a hard nut to crack. And that is where I see why you should tread softly. Otherwise, there will be a problem. In as much as we know the need for merging, the need for, blocking loopholes, leakages has become expedient. At the same time, we should be cautious of the timing. Oron Saye's report came at an inauspicious time. Assuming it had come at the right time, it would have saved Nigeria. It would have lifted us from the quagmire to socio-economic progress. But then the time it came was wrong. And Jonathan too, the time it came, it was at the time they were seeking political power and opportunities. And so he couldn't implement it. Aswagi is just coming in. if he doesn't want to dampen the morale of even his loyalists, he should tread softly.
So he should not implement it.
He should, but then it should be at an auspicious time. You may ask,
when is auspicious time?
Go. You have to, just like when Nkrumah wanted to implement free education. He knew it was going to be free and compulsory, but he started with free education. We'll give you uniform, books, everything. People embraced it. Then later came up with the stern measures. If your child was found on the street trading or doing anything, they picked up the child, go to the home of the family and arrested the parents, took them to the nearest local government headquarters, and they would stay there for the weekend. So people could no longer resist. The certain palliative measures must first be introduced to let the people see the degree of welfareism.
Palliatives.
Yes. It's like the Yoruba will say, if you want to tread a cooler ground, first you pour water ahead.
Do you see need for any palliative before this implementation?
Even besides palliative, the issue of the right time, I don't buy it.
You disagree?
I disagree. Look, we have got to a point. We have got to the labyrinth, and decision must be taken. Now, you see, it's just like issue of this, what do you call, subsidy. In any case, Buhari even had the chance. He has borrowed all the money we can borrow. So even if you want to borrow, I don't think let's be serious. I don't think we can even get the money to borrow. Decision has to be taken.
Once and for all.
Once and for all. The man has to close his eyes. This is what Buhari did not do. Buhari, you have been in government for 8 years. You are going to conduct census at the twilight of your administration. The currency no fine and got the pressure. Then the currency redesign.
It's so good that he listened to.
No, it's good. But of course, it was going to also create another wahala on his own. So what I'm saying is that, in fact, this is the auspicious time.
Okay.
Now that is coming in, let him take the decision, but he has to carry along the labor.
Okay.
And let them see reasons why this decision has to be taken now, and which it must not be deferred.
Okay. So if I love the area but it should involve the critical stakeholders.
Yes, he has to.
Okay, Sake.
Yeah, I sympathize with the position of Brown when he's talking of auspicious. I think he has this in terms of second term of Ashiwaju in mind.
Okay.
Even if he decides to implement that kind of thing, he should wait for the first time to.
He should not step on.
No, there's no time that is not auspicious. Certainly, when this report is implemented, there will be some job losses, no doubt about that. Even at this corporate level, when government came and merged OSBC radio and OSBC television, some people will have to lose their job. That's a sacrifice to pay. But that kind of job loss must be done discreetly, not the kind of witch hunting. When you not the kind of punitive measure. Because I don't like your face, I now have opportunity to deal with you. Just have to go. No, it must be done with all sense of responsibility. Certainly, some tools will be stepped on and will even be destroyed. But it is a decision that has to be taken.
Looking at the workforce, particularly at the federal level, thank God you give an example a while ago, and you also talk about productivity too. Yeah. Is it the case that it is these workers that are not ready to work, or that it is the government that is not engaging them after they have been employed?
Thank you. The crux of the matter is the Nigerian factor. My colleagues have advocated the need to implement, but then they are needed before that is done, and that is sincerity of purpose. Government may have the good intention that I want to do this to achieve this, but then the people that are going to implement it,
are they not,
just like Sake expressed the fears,
are they not going to be appointed by the same government?
Appointed by the same government.
If you are appointed now as a member of the committee or the leader, would you do a thorough job?
I will, but do you know what others will do? That has been the problem, the political factor, the Nigerian factor. You see, when you talk of the Nigerian factor, you remove idealism. The Nigerian factor has no recognition of anything ideal. What they recognize is what benefits you and me.
Anything good.
Or the party, that is it.
Okay, we will move to another topic because of our time. We want to look at the Vice President, Professor Yemi Osinbajo. Saki is blowing the trumpet of this outgoing government. That the government had achieved a lot. And is saying government huge investment in the capacity development of the Nigerian Air Force agencies has helped to turn the tide against terrorism and terrorists. Do you agree?
Well, I agree with him that government has invested a lot in area of empowerment of security, but I disagree with him that the government has achieved the way he is presenting the issue to us. Of course, he has to say that he couldn't have said otherwise anyway. You know, but we know that, you see, when you talk of since Buhari came on board, I think every year's budget, the largest percentage has been for security. So it has gobbled a huge amount of the country's resources, and that is what he is saying. He has said it rightly. But what has been achieved through this investment is what I disagree. It's area I disagree with him. We have not seen much, you know.
But we have seen little.
We have seen little.
Okay.
We have seen little. You see, when he came in 2015, this Boko Haram issue was an isolated,
limited
to
the northeast.
But today it has grown into series of monsters. Banditry has come in, kidnapping has come in. No, so many headers have also come in. But one thing I have discovered, and must give that to the government, whether it's by accident or design, we have not been seeing cases of suicide bombing for some time now.
Okay.
Whether those people who recruit them don't have, are not getting people to but I have observed that it's a curious observation. We have not seen that kind of the speed at which suicide bombing used to occur. You have seen that. But that doesn't mean that the security situation has improved. No.
Okay. Brown, suicide bombing, as Saki said, as you remember the United Nations building in Abuja. But other areas, we have challenges on that. Is it not the case that when government, or after government has succeeded in stopping completely this particular insurgency or form of lawlessness, these hoodlums will develop or divert to another system or develop another lawlessness?
Well, I would rather think it's the monetary factor that has oiled the operations of the bandits and those hoodlums. They now believe it is better for them to live and enjoy the products of their evil machinations than to die in the act. So they no longer want to go for suicide bombing. Instead, they want to tax people to bring in their hard-earned money, then they share. But then the issue of government achieving what? You see, when you compare what has been invested into our security system with the speed at which kidnappings, killings, and other nefarious activities are going on in the country now, you would say government has achieved little or nothing. Many governors are crying out as far as late as even last weekend, calling for the reinforcement of their local.
Samuel Otto. So a number of people were killed.
Even at a wedding in Kaduna.
IDP camp.
Okay, they even at a wedding, 30.
But at the same time, our security operatives also rescued some.
Yes, even those Chibok, one particular Chibok.
You see, it is the ratio that matters. If out of 100 you rescue 2, what have you done? In spite of the huge investment, you see, let's always be let's see that whatever they are spending should be proportionate to the outcome.
To what they have achieved.
That is it. And people believe that most of the money invested is not to fight Boko Haram. It's rather to even hire mercenaries. This may be bitter pill to mention.
But Buhari has said he will not hire mercenaries.
That is what he would say. Do you know soldiers that many of them have resigned because they are asked to go and face Boko Haram without arms? Many, if you read the dailies and you follow the trend, many are opting out.
But if you look at these last general elections, during that period, the bandits, the Boko Haramists too, all of them, I don't know if that grammar is said, the ceasefire, it was as if, when there is this international negotiation, for those periods, we had less of their activities.
Yes, that is true. I don't know whether it was they wanted to respect the election or not. I don't know. But at least everything subsided. But it still pick up later. Now, on the issue of achieving, yes, let us give it to this government that Super Tucano were purchased. It was within government and government. In Nigerian government and US. 12 of them. Very good, thank you. You know, there was a time that there was, is it a private jet that was taken to South Africa with money they claimed, the Jonathan government claimed,
yes.
They wanted to buy arms and things like that. Now there was openness, transparency in the case of, at least to a reasonable extent. I think the incoming government now have to do more. They might not concentrate on acquiring arsenals, but maybe Intel would do more. If you go to a state like Niger, these people are still wreaking havoc there. Get to
Kaduna.
And Kaduna, southern Kaduna. Then in this state too, Zamfara, thank you. Zamfara, another. So they have acquired the weapons, but let other.
What about the southeast?
Yes.
You used to hear more or much of this IPOB.
They still do, particularly in Imo. Imo is an isolated case.
What about the southwest? Kidnapping, is it reducing?
I think relatively it has reduced.
Yeah.
Yes. You know, particularly in Ondo, they were always kidnapping and things like that. Okay. It has subsided to a very reasonable extent. So they are making progress. But
Ondo North Central District.
But the incoming government has to do more.
Sake, I just want us to look at this effort. When we talk about huge investment, no doubt we are talking of billions, even in dollars. No. I mean, the cost of aircraft, 12 Super Tucano. And the Vice President also mentioned Air Force jets such as GF-17 Thunder multi-role. I'm not familiar. so if you is it even possible to use this war jet in an environment where you have law-abiding citizens living among or in the midst of criminals?
It is possible. That's why they are trained.
Without so many casualties.
Yeah, it is possible. You know, when who was this chief of army staff when he was inaugurated? He promised that he will destroy Sambisa forest and convert it into army training ground. That was the last we heard of it. And when you talk of acquisition of weaponry by this, it has done wonderfully well. But it is one thing to have equipment. It's another thing to make the best use of the equipment. That is where we are lacking. You know, I don't know the kind of training they give those who operate this equipment. But we have not been seeing, like I said, the amount spent on acquiring this equipment, the result getting from the two don't go together. And the belief is that most of these army chiefs, they are profiting from the system. That is the belief.
Are they just the chiefs?
Are they just?
Do you have just the chiefs benefiting or profiting?
Well, I mean, that's the general impression, because they have become billionaires, you know. And look at in the recent time, those who have retired, they just plunge themselves into politics. I know in Bauchi State, the APC governorship candidate is the former chief of the immediate past chief of staff.
Yes.
You know, and look at Buratai also. He's also in the all these
ambassador.
Ambassador, and also a chieftain of APC. You see him at so it gives impression that these people only use the position to prepare themselves for the immediate future, and that is affecting the performance of the staff under them. They see these things, they see the kind of lifestyle they live, yes, at the expense of their own welfare. So that is the issue.
Okay, another endless topic. We move to the last topic because of our time. Starting with you, Adeyemi Brown. Ekwere Madu, the wife Beatrice, and the daughter, and their daughter, Sonia. Some people will say, what a pity. Do you belong to that category of people?
Certainly not. It is the manifestation of the nation's unbridled propensity for materialism. Ekwere Madu is stupendously rich, and because there is no sincerity of purpose, they use every available opportunity to exploit and exploit and exploit. Otherwise, what would have pushed him to this? People have reasoned that if he had announced this in the UK, hundreds would have come for free donation.
Even in Nigeria?
Even in Nigeria, many would have, because they know afterward they are not going to die. Some will tell you, if I can live for so years, I'm ready to get the money, enjoy my life and go.
But most times, we love concealing our health challenges.
Yeah, but if he had been sincere and had announced that, well, there is need for this, and we would like somebody who wants to do it, and would give this. He may, anonymously, he may not mention who is involved, but mention the need and then the price to be attached.
It was insincere.
It was insincere, and he traveled even without recourse to the presidency. How can somebody of his stature leave the country without informing the nation's president?
Without informing the
ambassador and the embassy. He did it secretly, meaning he had an evil intention.
Or meaning that if he thought he could solve his problem alone.
No, it's not a matter of,
Okay, let his position. He said, from what he has said, it appears you don't have sympathy for it.
No.
What about you?
Well, as a human being and as a father, naturally, one will expect that in such a situation, one want to rescue the offspring, the child, either girl or boy, from that situation. So, to that extent, he did well. But you see, the question is, besides even informing the president and other things, now, he has been in Senate for a very long time. Deputy Senate President 3 times. Now, what have they done?
And Chairman, West African.
Yes, ECOWAS. Then, what have they done about the health sector? What attempt have they made to revamp it?
It's not in the executive. His job is just to pass.
Oh, so there is no committee on health in the parliament. My brother, you see, there will be so many
defense. There's something they call vicarious
liability. So now they could have done more. Then you see the way the judge was saying that he lied, although he apologized, that David, the guy they took, was Sonia's cousin. And it was established that it wasn't so. Now, another thing was that, because he played a fast one, he wanted to play the Nigerian big man role. So, he paid the money into that guy's account, the doctor's account. And the doctor too edited it. I didn't know the doctor too was an editor.
Nigerian factor.
So, he edited the money out of 1.7 million. He just gave the poor man 270,000. So these are some of the things. But what will it look? I know they say there are some people living in Nigeria. I don't want to mention it. They go to Malaysia and sell their kidney.
Yes.
They do it.
There are some young guys.
Young guys do it. So there's nothing. But you see,
so you will have easily got it.
Honestly, and you see, the judge even made reference to as a big man in Nigeria, you have staff, you have domestic maids, you have something. If you had come out openly that okay, this is my situation, you could have got somebody that will. If you leave that and you even ask for, so
even in the UK, you could have asked for. But Saki,
nemesis.
Let's look at the role of this doctor. I would have personally put a lot of blame on the doctor, but because Ekere Madu himself as a high-ranking senator, level of president, so I think he also has knowledge, a background in law.
Yes, he's a lawyer.
So in that wise, would we say he doesn't know?
You see, he knows. He should know. And you see, I sympathize and empathize with the Ekere Madu as a parent. The role the two parents played is what's expected of a responsible and caring parent. But the way they went about it is what is giving them problem now. Any parent could have gone to that length to save the life of their child. But you see, what Brown said, that he should have come out and solicited for. I mean, he's a poor man who would do that. You go on a platform and advertise the health condition of your child with the aim of getting.
We don't know the ailment. Actually, went to treat him. We don't know the zone. They won't let us know.
You see, my problem. You see, they have paid the price, costly for that matter. But the focus now should be on how the girl should the survival of the girl.
Yes.
Because he's now his parents are now in serious travail. What I expect the United Kingdom government to do now is to focus on how to save the life of that lady. And that boy David, I think he should have some questions to answer. Yeah. You know, because he lied. And you see, when that boy got to...
Was it on oath?
It's on oath. On oath. He lied about his age. He lied about the way he was brought. You see, when he got to London, I think he stumbled on somebody who changed his orientation immediately. That
he also swindled them.
Yes. So you want to sell your no. And that boy, that fellow reorientated, and he changed the whole thing. And now, look at the request he has put forward to the UK.
Yes,
seeking asylum. That is opportunism.
But
it's pure opportunism.
But was it all right?
Well, he
could have well been killed if he should come to Nigeria.
Who told him that he was being it's opportunism. Opportunism.
Was he experiment with his life? And then see him will be killed.
And then he's killed out.
On a more serious note, you see, that boy was not smuggled. He was smuggled from Nigeria. His parents were contacted. And they got certain amount of money to allow to release the boy and to travel. So there are so many things. The more you look, the less you see. But I as a parent, I really sympathize and empathize with the Ekere Madu. But they have breached the law, and the law should take its course.
Okay, Brown. The judge concluded that these three set of people exploited or wanted to exploit the young man.
Yeah.
You agree with the judge?
No, I do. Inasmuch as the young man is equally culpable for lying, they agreed to exploit the guy because they did not inform him about the true situation.
That everybody is being exploited in Nigeria.
But it is not Nigeria they were going. and the experiment or the action was not to take place in Nigeria. So you have thought of the consequences and the culture, the tradition.
Even those of us that are working, we are being exploited now.
Oh yes. Yes. But then you should not have taken it too far. You know, it's like exploiting the guy at the highest level. He knew with money the guy would have no option.
The judge also mentioned the amount that had come into his account within short periods.
Oh yeah.
Is
that you have 40 buildings all over the place, and then $400,000
within short
6 months.
That is
mentioned 6 months.
They said it's regular. That's
so
what comes in.
Sorry, it was surprised that.
So why I raise that is it not the case that the judge was also worried that how could you have this kind of money?
That is it.
Questionable character.
And you know, there's allegation against him on illegal acquisition of property. That I'm talking about the Query.
Yes. It's still in court.
But you see, maybe the lesson Nigeria is
40 properties.
40 properties. The 400,000 in 6 months.
Is it not a case of just one out of several?
And that is it now.
Beautiful. That is the bane of this political exploitation. See, most of them retiring as governors moved to the Senate. They are now seeking a life pension of how many millions? At the same time, they have gone to the Senate. Now a judge is saying, pay back the money. Serap has gone to court, saying all those governors that have taken the money as senators must pay back. That is the current issue now.
Do you see the British government granting amnesty to David?
Oh yes. They will look, from my own point of view, they look at it from the point of exploitation. And given the fact that what he has said, that his life will be in danger if he comes back to Nigeria. So and they know what happens in Nigeria. So they may want to do that to help sustain a life. That's the way but see, I'm happy that even the judge admitted all the letters written. Maybe they thought it's Nigeria case which could influence. The man admitted having all those letters. Obasanjo wrote all these things, but that has nothing to do with their law. Unfortunately, he's the first victim of that law that came into pass in 2015.
He's the first customer.
If Clemens, yes, will come in now, it cannot be during the court procedure. I think this is the right time now that a verdict has been made.
There is another procedure entirely.
There could be the government could step in, either the United Kingdom or the Nigerian government.
Clemency is another ball game. It's not automatic.
Yes.
Another process must be initiated for it. You know, and you see, they must have been watching that boy now. You know, they might be studying that boy. It's not just enough to say because he was exploited, so he has to be. It has to be considered and it has to be taken. No, they will do diligent investigation about him. That boy will have some questions to answer.
So it's being granted amnesty will be on merit. Not automatic.
And in fact, he cannot even travel out now because he also has some issues to settle. To settle about this Ekwemadu issue. No, so it's not automatic.
Now the clemency that I mentioned, the British government can do now. After judgment, we see it in Nigeria. The judge or the governor will say so number.
Don't forget that they can appeal. There is room for appeal.
I think they are even going to
appeal. You see, my worry now is about the health of that girl. I think that should be something to be considered more than. But already, I mean, the worst has happened to her parents. She's the issue now.
You want to say something?
Yeah, the issue of clemency can only come in at the governmental level.
Yes.
If, for instance, Buhari writes the British government now appealing for clemency, it may be looked into. And the prerogative of Mercy.
Or Tinubu.
You know, at the nick of time, this man can do it to gain popularity, or to win the favor of the people, or Tinubu coming in, or even in his capacity at present, can advocate, and then the prerogative of mercy will be invoked. But then, is Buhari ready to do that because of the surrounding circumstances?
The girl, Sake, is more concerned about Sonia.
Sonia, we should be, as human beings.
Oh yeah.
And she felt bad that she
blamed herself
that
she caused the whole
thing. This misfortune that had befallen the family.
No, but it wasn't a mistake. It wasn't as if it was a mistake. It's happened to her.
But it was an attempt to
save her. Yes, I mean, that's what a good parent would do. I mean, thank God, I don't pray to find myself. But if such happens to one's son or one's daughter, I mean, the natural thing is to try to offer the assistance you can. So he felt for her parents, but I don't think it was her own fault. It wasn't deliberate. I mean, sickness can happen to anybody.
Saki, your final take on this?
Well, I still believe that the Ekweremandu's case should go to appeal and test the validity of the judgment. And you see, I think the judge that handled the case had to prove a point that this new law that was promulgated in 2015 and the first culprit or customer. So they used that to test it was a test case,
the efficacy
of the law. And so, and the judge also, by way of accident, had made history. That's the first judge to sentence under that law.
Modern Slavery Act of an organ. Harvesting conspiracy. But the sentence, the law carries
life sentence.
But this is a just maximum of 10. So it means that the judge was lenient.
Oh yes, you consider some of the letter and said that people have said a lot about his character. Therefore,
he said he is known. Like everybody is known to be a law or was known to be a law-abiding citizen. He has no criminal record.
Character.
Okay. We sympathize with him as a father, and I'm sure Brown Adeyemi did not have that kind of sympathy for him, while Mr. Lagbola is in the middle.
No, I'm not. I sympathize.
It's not a matter of sympathy. The Omibo will say, let's call a spade, not an instrument for digging. If you do the wrong thing, you must get the correct punishment for it. So that is
I think it's a lesson for everybody.
Yes,
President. If you have good intentions, you have good, then you must do it in the right way.
Yes.
And on that note, we have come to the end of another edition of this program in the newsroom. Mr. Lagbola, thank you for your contribution.
It's always a pleasure to be here.
Thank Thanks for having me.
Thank you.
Well, thank God for your mercy and your blessings.
My name is Abiodun Olalele. We'll see you tomorrow by the grace of God. Bye-bye.